Custom middleware plays a very crucial role in a .NET Core pipeline, and in this video, I'm going to explain you the overall concept of a custom middleware, plus how we can use this custom middleware in order to fetch a user ID from a JSON web token, and then pass that user ID into my DB context class so that it can be used in order to populate my audit field. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. As you guys know that I am creating a playlist in which I am explaining you the step-by-step process to create a production grade backend .NET Core API, and this video is the part 7th of that playlist. In my last video, I have explained the concept of securing the API with the help of JWT or JSON Web Token. If you have not watched that video, then please watch that video first. That is a prerequisite of this one. The link will be added in the description. Now let's come back to our topic. We know that we have a to-do controller, and this to-do controller is actually secured with an authorized attribute. In this to-do controller, I have a post method, and this post method is supposed to insert a record in two tables. One is my to-do list and then to-do item. But if you scan this table, right now they are empty, but both of these tables consist of 4 columns, and these columns are called as auditable column or audit column. Normally created at, updated at, created by, updated by. So whenever I am inserting a new record, I am going to populate these 2 columns, and whenever I am updating that record, I am going to populate that 2 column. You must have seen these columns in multiple databases. This is the way which we maintain an auditing in a table itself. Now the question is how we are going to populate these columns from a central location. The one step is that we can modify it in such a way that whenever I am modifying a record or whenever I am adding a new record into my database, I have to write a logic at each and every location. But that is not something which we normally do in a real production grade API. We have to write it at a central location so that it can be invoked every time whenever I am modifying something into my database. And the best location to perform this action is my DB context class. In my DB context, what I have done is I have overridden 2 methods. One is my save changes and second is my save changes async. And inside this save changes method, I have created a separate functionality which says apply audit config. Now, if you check this apply audit config, it is actually leveraging the change tracking feature of an EF core. And we are using the change tracking functionality. And in this functionality, what we are trying to do is that whatever column, or if you are adding a new record, if you're adding a record for the very first time, then I'm going to modify these 2 columns, which is my created and created by. And if you're modifying something, then I'm updating these 2 columns. One thing you must have noticed that I am using something called as current user.get current user ID. And if that is coming as null, then I'm replacing the value with system. In simple terms, it says that if a user is a logged in user, then I'm going to insert his user ID in this created by column. And if he is not a logged in user, then I'm simply replacing it with a system which is a hard coded value. But the question is how I am fetching this current user ID or how I am able to pass this current user ID in my DB context, which is actually a part of my infra layer. And this infra layer as a clean architecture will not interact with an outer world. So in this demo, I am going to show that bit to you. What we have done is I have created a custom middleware, which is my user context middleware. Now, a custom middleware are those things which actually work in a request response pipeline, and they are capable of modifying the request and responses as well. If you are not very much comfortable about the concept of custom middleware, then please watch one of my video in my YouTube channel in which I have explained the in-depth way of how the middleware works and how we can get a custom middleware. The link will be again added in the description. In this custom middleware, I have a method called as invoke async, and this invoke async is actually trying to fetch the token from a current context. This context.get token async is an inbuilt method in .NET Core, and if you pass the access token, so what it will does it will try to read the header of your API, and in the header, if you pass authorization and bearer token, then it will fetch that token and then assign a value over here. So what I am doing is that if no token exists because there are some endpoints which are not protected, like creating a new user or registering a new user, right? So if the endpoint or my header does not consist of a token, then don't break the functionality, just work as it is. But if a token exists in my header, then we have to fetch the user ID from the token. And this user ID is actually I'm inserting as a claim while generating a token. If I navigate back to the place where I'm creating a token, so let's say I'm creating a token at this location. So I'll go to the implementation and token service. And in this token, you can see that I'm inserting a user ID as a claim over here. And that user ID I'm reading as from the claim at this location. So whatever the user ID that belongs to a token, I'm reading that user ID from the claim and then passing it to this method. Then once I have this user ID from the claim, I'm actually adding this user ID into my current request header. Now, what's the point of this line of code? Why I'm again re-adding it into a header? The main purpose of adding it again into a header because I want to access this user ID somewhere else. And the only thing which I can do is just add in the request header so that I can actually access it in any other part of my application. So that functionality of custom middleware is very, very helpful. If you are getting a token in the request pipeline, then simply retrieve the token and then pass the token in the current request header so that you can use it everywhere else. I'll put a breakpoint over here and I'll show you in this debug mode. But let's again move to some different part of it. Now, once my token is added in my current request header, then I have created a new service which is called as current user service. And this current user service is actually using that particular header. When I come to this location, I am using my HTTP context accessor, and this context accessor is actually reading the header value with the same key. Over here, you have to mention or you have to take care of that the key that you have defined while adding the user ID in the middleware, the same key I am using over here to fetch the user ID as well. And if the user ID exists in the middleware in the header, then I'm simply returning it value from this method, else I'm returning is empty. Now this current user service is the one which we can use everywhere. And because it's a service, so it can be easily injected with the help of DI in my DB context. And that's what I did. I injected my current user service inside my DB context. And over there, you can see that we have an injection. And then we are using this service over here. So this is all the code that we have done in order to make it work, and the entire code base is available in my GitHub. I will provide my Git link in the description so you can just take a clone of that code and can use it in a current project. But let's first run this in a debug mode and see how it works behind the scene. I'll put a breakpoint at different locations over here just to make sure that I should able to show you the correct process. And then let's run this to-do API. As of now, you can see that my tables are empty, so it doesn't consist of any record. And the moment I'm going to insert a new to-do, it will be populating these 4 columns as well. So yes, my APIs are now up and running, and I'm not going to use Swagger for this, but rather I'm going to use a Postman. So let's minimize the Swagger window and let's open a Postman over here. And in this Postman, first of all, I'll try to grab the token. So this is my token endpoint, and these 2 users belongs to my database, which are already there. I'll click on send and this should give me a token. So let's first run this and see. In the very first request, I'm not getting a token because this is the request which we are doing for the very first time. So it will not break the process and it will work as it is. And this will give me a token from my backend. Okay. So we'll run this, and over here, I am getting an access token in the response. Now I'm using a Postman script in order to set this access token into my environment variable. This pm.environment.set will actually set the token value, and whatever response I'm getting from my API will set this in my environment variable. So you can see that this particular environment variable consists of a token attribute as well, and this token I'm going to use in my next call. Now if I grab this token and go to a website called as jot.io. So if I navigate to a website, jot.io, so I'll pass this token in my jot.io website and see it consists of a claim name as user ID. So we have to use this claim, that is the current logged in user ID, and we have to use this in order to insert the populate different column in my table. So I'll navigate back to my Postman again, and now I'm going to create a new to-do. This is a very basic to-do application because we discussed that we are not very much concerned about a complex database, but the point is how to do it in a better way in a real application. So I'm simply defining certain descriptions, certain name, and then some items over there, and let's click on send. And in the header, you can see that I am passing that bearer token, the one that I have retrieved from my previous call. Let's click on send on this and see now my hit come to my middleware. This time I'm getting a token. So this token is coming in my request because obviously it's an internal process in .NET Core ecosystem. And over here in this internal process, I'm using this method in order to fetch the token from my claims And this user ID is the one that consists inside the claims of this token. And I'm passing this user ID inside my current user ID and then passing it down the line to my next method. Now, once my entire controller is executed, I should have put breakpoint over here as well, but I can show you in the next call. So whenever I actually insert the record into my whenever my entire controller work, it navigate to my save changes method. You can see in this create to do async, I have written a logic to convert this to do into a relevant domain. And then finally, I'm calling a commit async, and this commit async is doing nothing, but it's simply calling a save changes async. We have discussed this in the concept of a generic repository pattern, which is again one of the video in this entire playlist. Please watch that as well if you're getting confused about what exactly we are doing at this class file. Now, once I navigate back to my DB context, you will see that I'm inside this apply audit config info. And if I proceed further, it is actually using the change tracking of my EF code. And because I'm inserting a record for the very first time, the current entry or the current state of my entry will be added. And over here, you can see that I'm using the date time at UTC now as my current date time date. And the user ID will be the user ID which I'm retrieving from my current context. So if I navigate back to my this method, you will notice that this method is the one which I showed you earlier, and this is actually fetching the user ID from my current HTTP context. My context consists of the same user ID which is there, and then it returns the user ID, and then we are inserting over here. And if I proceed further, you will notice that my response is 201, which is created. And if I navigate to my database, and if I just scan both the tables, you will notice that both of table consist of a record, and this also consists of these columns, which are my auditing column. So you can see that created on and created by both are populated. And this is the one which is there in my first table. And again, this is the one which is there in my second table itself. So in this way, what you can do is you can actually use the concept of a middleware, a custom middleware, in order to fetch a user ID from a token. And then we are passing that user ID into my current session, my current header, so that I can use that user ID somewhere else down the line. Now, this is one of the uses of a custom middleware, but you can use this custom middleware in multiple places. Let's say if you are using any kind of logging or maybe an exception handling, or maybe you want to modify the response as per your client need, you can use all these things in a custom middleware. This custom middleware is only responsible for modifying the request response pipeline in on a .NET Core ecosystem. I hope you liked this video, you enjoyed it. And this is one of the steps which was pending in order to make it work. In my next video, I will come up with some different concept which we normally use in a real production grade API in order to make it work. Till that time, please stay tuned to my channel. Please like, share and subscribe to my content. This will really keep me motivated to generate a new videos for you. Thank you.